Section 1. The stars stretched endlessly in the void, a tapestry of light and mystery, indifferent to the struggles of those who called the galaxy home. Among them, the Orion spur hummed with activity as interstellar trade routes crisscrossed between systems. Yet one corner of this galactic cluster remained curiously quiet, the Sol system. Earth, a planet once regarded as insignificant by the wider galaxy, had become an enigmatic point of speculation. Humanity had remained isolated for decades, shunning alliances and refusing the Galactic Accord's invitations to join its ranks. For the Clorvani Consortium, this secrecy was an affront, and for their daring leader, Scion Lecter, it was a challenge. Scion Lecter stood aboard the bridge of his flagship, the Vermis Talon, a vessel renowned for its cutting-edge weaponry and stealth capabilities. The towering alien, covered in iridescent scales that shimmered with malice, tapped a clawed finger against the edge of his command console. "Explain to me again," Lecter growled, his multifaceted eyes fixed on his intelligence officer. "Why a backwater species like humanity refuses to kneel?" The officer, a smaller creature with wiry appendages and a nervous tic, fidgeted under Lecter's gaze. "They possess anomalies, Scion. We've intercepted fragmented data suggesting advanced technologies. Their defenses appear primitive at first glance, yet all attempts at intrusion have failed. Probes vanish without trace." Lecter's maw twisted into a cruel grin. "So they hide behind their shadows. Typical. Prepare the fleet. We'll see what they're protecting." At the same moment, in the depths of the Sol system, Captain Elena Cade of the Resolute Horizon stood at her ship's observation deck, gazing at Earth from high orbit. The blue planet shone with an almost serene brilliance, a stark contrast to the activity unfolding around it. Elena was a career officer of the United Earth Stellar Command, a force born from necessity rather than ambition. After humanity's first, disastrous contact with galactic forces, a series of skirmishes that nearly eradicated several colonies, Earth had turned inward. The species that had once dreamed of universal exploration now honed its focus on survival. Behind her, Commander Ryan Cho entered the deck, his ever-present datapad in hand. "Fleet Command is picking up a signal. Clorvani vessels entering the outer system." Elena turned, her expression steely. "How many?" "3 capital ships, accompanied by escorts. Their headings unmistakable." She nodded, her mind racing. It was only a matter of time. In the war room of the Resolute Horizon, holographic projections illuminated the dim chamber. Elena stood at the center, surrounded by her senior officers. A detailed map displayed the inbound Clorvani fleet, their approach calculated and deliberate. Cho folded his arms. "We've seen what their ships can do. Their stealth systems make it nearly impossible to track them in deep space. If they reach Earth's perimeter, they could launch an attack before we even have a chance to respond." Elena's tone was firm. "That won't happen. Humanity's spent decades preparing for this moment. They think we're hiding. Let's show them we've been waiting." The Clorvani fleet entered the Kuiper belt, its sensors scanning the icy expanse for anomalies. Lecter leaned forward in his command chair, his anticipation mounting. He had expected immediate resistance, yet the humans had not reacted. "Curious," he muttered. "They do not rush to defend themselves. Perhaps they know they cannot win." As the fleet pushed deeper into the system, Lecter's confidence grew. His officers reported no activity from Earth's forces, no sign of the legendary defenses whispered about in intercepted transmissions. It was as if humanity had simply vanished. Meanwhile, aboard the Resolute Horizon, Elena observed the Clorvani fleet's progress through the system. Every movement was tracked by Earth's network of stealth drones and hidden satellites, each one feeding critical data to her ship's systems. "They're overconfident," she said, turning to Cho. "They don't realize we've been studying them as much as they've been studying us." Cho smirked. "Let's hope their arrogance works in our favor." Elena nodded. "Prepare the fleet for the first phase. We'll show them just how primitive we are." The Clorvani fleet reached the asteroid belt, their ships weaving effortlessly through the dense field. Lecter issued orders to establish a forward base, confident that humanity's defenses would be easily overwhelmed. As his crew began deploying equipment, the first strike came. An explosion rocked the Vermistalon, sending alarms blaring across the bridge. Lecter snarled, his claws digging into his command console. "Report! Unknown detonation!" an officer shouted. "It originated from the asteroid field. We're detecting multiple energy signatures." The tactical display erupted with activity as Earth's hidden turrets and mines activated in unison. Railguns, slugs, and missile salvos tore through the Clorvani escorts, their sleek designs offering little protection against the sudden onslaught. Lecter's voice roared over the chaos. "Return fire! Find their positions and destroy them!" But the Clorvani were ill-prepared for the precision of Earth's defenses. The railguns fired from concealed positions within the asteroids, while cloaked drones delivered devastating payloads before vanishing into the debris. On the resolute horizon, Elena watched the battle unfold, her satisfaction tempered by the knowledge of what was to come. "They're reacting just as we expected," she said. "Initiate Phase 2. The Clorvani fleet regrouped, their surviving ships forming a defensive perimeter. Lecter's rage simmered as he assessed the situation. "They dare toy with us?" he growled. "Then we'll burn their defenses to ash." But as the Clorvani ships prepared their counteroffensive, a new signal appeared on their sensors. Earth's fleet, led by the resolute Horizon, emerged from the shadow of Jupiter's massive gravity well, their formations tight and their weapons charged. Lecter stared at the display, his eyes narrowing. So the humans finally showed themselves? On the bridge of her ship, Elena stood tall. "Let's show them why humanity doesn't kneel." The stage was set for the clash that would determine not just Earth's fate, but humanity's place in the galaxy. Both sides braced for the battle to come, unaware of the surprises still in store. Section 2. The Clorvani fleet had regrouped, their sleek and deadly ships bristling with weaponry, as they faced the unexpected emergence of Earth's fleet. Scion Lecter observed the human vessels on his command console, his multifaceted eyes narrowing. "They finally come out of hiding," he hissed. "Primitive designs, outdated systems. They're nothing but relics." But Lecter's bravado was short-lived. The human ships moved with precision, their formations tight and deliberate. For every volley the Clorvani unleashed, the humans responded with surgical strikes, exploiting weaknesses that no outsider should have known existed. On board the resolute Horizon, Captain Elena Cade watched the tactical display as the battle unfolded. Each Clorvani ship represented a formidable threat, but humanity had prepared for this encounter for decades. The AI-driven targeting systems, coupled with the latest advancements in stealth and offensive technologies, turned Earth's seemingly outmatched fleet into a deadly force. "Focus fire on their command ships," Elena ordered. "We cut the head off the serpent, and the body will follow." The fleet responded in unison, their railguns and missile salvos tearing into the Clorvani's central formation. One by one, the smaller escort ships disintegrated under the relentless assault, their sleek designs offering no protection against humanity's ingenuity. Lecter's ship shook violently as another explosion rocked the Vermistalon. "What is happening?" he snarled, his claws digging into the armrests of his command chair. An officer stammered, their voice panicked. "Their weapons, somehow, they're bypassing our shielding protocols. It's as if they know our systems." Lecter's rage burned hotter. "Impossible! Humans are scavengers, not tacticians. They cannot." Another detonation interrupted him, this one closer. His expression twisted into fury. "Deploy the swarm fighters. Overwhelm them with numbers." The Clorvani's response was swift and brutal. Swarms of fighter drones poured from their capital ships, their sleek forms weaving through the void with deadly precision. The smaller human frigates scrambled to evade the onslaught, using the debris of the asteroid field for cover. But for every drone destroyed, 3 more seemed to take its place. On the resolute Horizon, Commander Ryan Cho monitored the escalating chaos. "We're losing frigates on the outer perimeter," he reported grimly. "The drones are overwhelming our defenses." Elena clenched her jaw. "Then it's time for Phase 3. Deploy the countermeasures." Hidden among the human fleet were a series of experimental drones, each equipped with electromagnetic pulse (EMP) technology designed to disable Clorvani systems. As the drones activated, the battlefield lit up with bursts of energy, and the once deadly swarm fighters began to falter. Lecter's bridge descended into chaos as his officers struggled to make sense of the sudden shift. "EMP bursts detected!" one shouted. "Our drones are failing!" Lecter's rage boiled over. "Find the source and destroy it!" But the EMP drones moved with uncanny precision, their cloaking systems rendering them nearly invisible. They weaved through the Clorvani formation, disabling systems and leaving their ships vulnerable to humanity's strikes. With the Clorvani swarm neutralized, Earth's fleet pressed the attack. The resolute Horizon led the charge, its railguns and missile batteries pounding the enemy's larger ships. Elena's voice rang out over the comms, rallying her crew. "Keep up the pressure! Don't let them regroup!" On the battlefield, Earth's allies joined the fray. The Nkora, an insectid species renowned for their combat prowess, launched coordinated strikes on the Clorvani's flanks, while the Lithari deployed their advanced shield technology to protect the human fleet. Despite their losses, the Clorvani were far from defeated. Lecter, though seething with anger, was no fool. He recognized the human strategy and devised a countermeasure. "Activate the dread cannons," he ordered. "Burn their fleet to ash." The Vermistalone, still battered but operational, unleashed its most powerful weapon, a plasma cannon capable of obliterating ships in a single strike. The first shot tore through the battlefield, narrowly missing the resolute Horizon but destroying a nearby Allied vessel in a fiery explosion. Elena's heart sank as the shattered remains of the Allied ship drifted into the void. "They've upped the stakes," she said grimly. "We need to take out that cannon, or we're finished." The task of neutralizing the Vermistalone's dread cannon fell to the Shadowlance, one of Earth's most advanced stealth frigates. Captain Armin Vasquez, known for his unorthodox tactics, led the mission. His ship maneuvered through the debris field, evading the Clorvani's sensors with practiced ease. "We have one shot at this," Vasquez said to his crew. "If we're detected, it's over. Arm the payload." The Shadow Lance launched a single, high-yield kinetic missile designed to penetrate the Vermistalone's reinforced hull. The projectile moved silently through the void, its trajectory calculated with pinpoint accuracy. Lecter barely had time to react before the missile struck. The explosion rocked the Vermistalone, sending shockwaves through its structure. The dread cannon went silent, its power core disabled. Cheers erupted across the human fleet as the tide of battle shifted once more. But Elena remained focused. "We've crippled their flagship, but the fight isn't over. Prepare for their counterattack." The Clorvani, now on the defensive, began to retreat. Lecter's voice echoed through the damaged corridors of his ship as he issued the order. "Fall back! Regroup at the outer perimeter!" On the resolute Horizon, Elena watched as the Clorvani ships disappeared into the darkness. "They'll be back," she said. "And they'll bring everything they have." Cho nodded. "Then we'll be ready." As the battlefield fell silent, humanity's fleet regrouped, their losses heavy but their resolve unshaken. The first round had gone to Earth, but the war was far from over. The Clorvani's retreat was not a sign of surrender, it was a promise of escalation. And humanity, though battered, stood ready to meet the challenge. Section 3. The Clorvani retreat to the outer system was brief, a tactical regrouping to assess their losses and recalibrate their strategy. Scion Lecter, seething from his flagship's near destruction, paced the damaged bridge of the Vermistalone. His officers worked feverishly to restore systems, their movements frantic under his baleful glare. "They crippled my cannon," Lecter growled, his voice a low rumble. "No primitive species should have been capable of such precision." An officer hesitated, then ventured. "Their tactics are unconventional, Scion. They use the terrain and unpredictability." Lecter bared his fangs. "Enough excuses. Humanity has embarrassed the Dominion. I will not allow this insult to stand." Meanwhile, aboard the resolute Horizon, Captain Elena Cade and her crew reviewed the battle's aftermath. The mood was a mix of relief and tension. They had survived, but it was clear the Clorvani were not finished. "They're regrouping," Commander Cho said, gesturing to the tactical map. "They'll likely launch a counteroffensive with overwhelming force." Elena nodded. "Agreed. And we can't afford to play defense. If we wait for them to strike, we'll lose what advantage we have." Her eyes swept over the room, settling on the holographic display of Jupiter and its sprawling moons. "We lure them into a trap. Something they won't see coming." The plan was bold, bordering on reckless. Earth's fleet would withdraw to the orbit of Ganymede, leaving behind a decoy force near Jupiter's great red spot. The massive storm, with its chaotic winds and electromagnetic interference, would mask the deployment of Earth's newest weapon, a stealth carrier outfitted with long-range railguns. "If they come for us," Elena explained to her officers, "we'll bait them into the storm. Once inside, they'll lose their tactical advantage, and we'll have them exactly where we want them." Cho frowned. "It's risky. If they figure out the trap too soon..." Elena's expression hardened. "They won't." On board the Vermistalon, Lecter prepared his fleet for the next assault. The tactical holomap displayed the Sol system, with Earth's fleet positioned around Ganymede. He saw the apparent withdrawal for what he believed it to be, desperation. "They're cornered," Lecter said with a sneer. "This is their last stand. We'll crush them and claim Earth as a prize." As the Clorvani fleet surged toward Jupiter, their confidence bolstered by their numbers, Earth's hidden forces moved into position. The trap was set, and the final confrontation was about to begin. The Clorvani fleet entered Jupiter's orbit in formation, their sensors scanning for signs of human activity. The storm of the Great Red Spot churned below them, its chaotic energy creating a perfect cover for Earth's operations. "Detecting faint signatures," a Clorvani officer reported. "It's consistent with human vessels, but interference is distorting the readings." Lecter grinned. "Clever. But their tricks won't save them." He issued the command to engage. The Clorvani ships advanced, their plasma cannons charging as they prepared to annihilate what they believed was the remnants of humanity's fleet. Inside the storm, the Resolute Horizon and its stealth carrier, the Phantom Spear, waited in silence. The carrier's advanced cloaking systems rendered it nearly invisible, even to the most sophisticated sensors. "They're coming," Cho said, watching the tactical display as the Clorvani ships entered the storm's perimeter. "Do we wait for them to commit?" Elena's voice was calm. "Not yet. Let them get comfortable." The Clorvani ships pushed deeper into the storm, their formations faltering as the electromagnetic interference disrupted their communications. Lecter's frustration grew as his tactical display flickered with static. "Push through!" he barked. "Find them and destroy them!" It was then that Earth's fleet struck. The Phantom Spear fired its long-range railguns, the projectiles tearing through the Clorvani ships with deadly precision. The first volley took out 2 cruisers, their hulls splitting apart in fiery explosions. The Clorvani scrambled to respond, but the storm's interference made coordination nearly impossible. Earth's smaller, more agile ships darted through the chaos, their hit-and-run tactics exploiting every weakness in the Clorvani's disarray. Lecter's rage boiled over as the Vermistalon took another direct hit, its shields flickering. "Where are they attacking from?" he roared. An officer stammered. "The projectiles, coming from within the storm. We can't pinpoint their location." Lecter slammed a clawed fist onto his console. "Then burn the storm itself! Flush them out!" The Clorvani ships began firing blindly into the storm, their plasma beams illuminating the swirling chaos. But their desperation only made them more vulnerable. Earth's fleet continued to strike with precision, picking off their ships one by one. On the Resolute Horizon, Elena monitored the unfolding battle. "They're panicking," she said. "Perfect. Deploy the final wave." The Phantom Spear launched its payload, a swarm of stealth drones armed with EMP charges. The drones slipped through the storm, targeting the Clorvani ship's power systems. One by one, the enemy vessels went dark, their weapons and engines rendered useless. Lecter watched in horror as his fleet fell apart. Impossible, he muttered. How could they? The final blow came as the Resolute Horizon emerged from the storm, its railguns targeting the Vermis Talon. Elena's voice was steady as she gave the order. Fire! The projectiles struck the Clorvani flagship with pinpoint accuracy, breaching its hull and igniting a chain reaction. The ship's core detonated in a brilliant explosion, sending shockwaves through the storm. Lecter's last moments were filled with disbelief and fury. Humans! As the battle ended, the Clorvani survivors fled, their fleet shattered and their confidence in ruins. Earth's forces regrouped, their losses minimal but their victory decisive. On the bridge of the Resolute Horizon, Elena stood with her crew, the tension giving way to a sense of triumph. They'll think twice before coming back, Cho said with a small smile. Elena's expression was resolute. If they come back, we'll be ready. The Clorvani's defeat at Jupiter was a turning point, not just for Earth but for the galaxy. Humanity had proven that it was not to be underestimated, and the message was clear: Earth wasn't just surviving, it was thriving. Section 4. The aftermath of the battle at Jupiter sent shockwaves across the galaxy. The Clorvani fleet, once feared as an unstoppable force, had been routed, their flagship destroyed, and their forces shattered. Across the Sol system, humanity celebrated its victory, but the leadership knew the war wasn't over yet. Admiral Elena Cade stood on the bridge of the Resolute Horizon, watching as the remaining Clorvani ships fled into the void. The holographic display showed the wreckage of enemy vessels drifting through Jupiter's orbit, a testament to humanity's resolve and ingenuity. We've pushed them back, but they'll regroup, Commander Cho said, breaking the silence. The Clorvani don't retreat without a plan. Elena nodded, her expression steely. And neither do we. This isn't just about survival anymore. We need to send a message. The decision was unanimous among Earth's leadership and its allies. Humanity would take the fight to the Clorvani. For decades, the Dominion had terrorized the galaxy, their campaigns of conquest leaving countless civilizations in ruins. But now, Earth would lead a coalition to strike at the heart of the Clorvani Empire. The target was their central stronghold, the fortress world of Dracther Prime. Located deep within Clorvani space, it was the seat of their power, protected by the most advanced defenses and their remaining fleet. A direct assault would be nearly impossible, but humanity had no intention of fighting on the Clorvani's terms. On Earth, the United Stellar Command and its allies prepared for the offensive. The battle-hardened fleets were upgraded with cutting-edge technology, while engineers worked tirelessly to refine Earth's experimental weapons. Among these was the Aegis Array, a planetary-scale shield disruptor capable of disabling even the most advanced defenses. In the war room aboard the Resolute Horizon, Elena outlined the plan. We'll use the Clorvani's arrogance against them. They think we're desperate survivors, but we'll show them what humans are capable of. She gestured to the tactical map, highlighting the approach to Dracther Prime. Our fleet will engage their perimeter forces here, drawing their attention. Meanwhile, a stealth task force will deploy the Aegis Array to disable their planetary shields. Once their defenses are down, we strike with everything we've got. Cho raised an eyebrow. And if the array doesn't work? Elena smirked. It'll work. As the fleet jumped into Clorvani space, the tension was palpable. Ships from Earth and its allies moved in perfect coordination, their formations tight as they approached the outer defenses of Dracther Prime. The Clorvani fleet, though diminished, still outnumbered them. Enemy ships on intercept course, Cho reported. They're bringing everything they've got. Elena took a deep breath. Good. All ships engage at will. The battle erupted in a storm of fire and light. Earth's fleet, using the tactics perfected in the battle at Jupiter, struck with precision. Railguns and missiles tore through the Clorvani ranks, while Allied forces provided cover. Despite their losses, the Clorvani fought with ferocity, their desperation driving them to reckless attacks. Meanwhile, the stealth task force, led by Captain Vasquez aboard the Shadow Lance, slipped past the chaos. Their mission was critical, deploying the Aegis Array on the surface of Dracther Prime. The task force navigated the dense asteroid field surrounding the planet, evading detection as they approached their target. On the surface of Dracthyr Prime, the task force deployed the Aegis array, its massive components unfolding like petals. Vasquez and his team worked quickly, knowing that the Clorvani defenders would soon realize their presence. "Status?" Vasquez asked, his voice tense. "Array is online," a technician replied. "Charging sequence initiated." As the array powered up, Clorvani ground forces swarmed toward their position. The task force fought valiantly, their weapons lighting up the dark terrain. Vasquez knew they couldn't hold out indefinitely. "Get it done!" he shouted. "No matter what." Above the planet, the battle reached a fever pitch. The Resolute Horizon led the charge, its railguns targeting the largest Clorvani ships. Elena's voice was steady as she directed the fleet, her resolve unshaken. "Keep the pressure on," she ordered. "We need to buy the task force more time." The Clorvani flagship, the Iron Claw, moved to intercept the Resolute Horizon, its plasma cannons blazing. The two ships exchanged devastating fire, their shields flaring as the void lit up with explosions. On the surface, the Aegis array reached full power. A blinding pulse of energy erupted from the device, spreading across the planet like a wave. The Clorvani's planetary shields flickered, then collapsed, leaving Dracthyr Prime vulnerable. "We did it," Vasquez said, his relief palpable. "The shields are down." Elena received the signal and wasted no time. "All ships, focus fire on the surface defenses. Take out their command centers." Earth's fleet unleashed a coordinated assault, targeting the Clorvani's key installations. Explosions rocked the planet as the once impenetrable fortress fell under humanity's relentless onslaught. With their stronghold in ruins, the Clorvani leadership had no choice but to surrender. Scion Lecter, battered and defeated, transmitted a message of capitulation to the Allied forces. On the Resolute Horizon, Elena and her crew watched as the Clorvani fleet powered down their weapons. A sense of triumph filled the bridge, tempered by the weight of what they had achieved. "We've won," Cho said quietly. "It's over." Elena nodded, her expression a mix of relief and determination. "For now. But we've shown the galaxy what humanity is capable of." The victory at Dracthyr Prime marked the end of the Clorvani Dominion's reign. Across the galaxy, species that had lived in fear of the Dominion found hope in humanity's triumph. Earth, once isolated and underestimated, had risen as a beacon of strength and resilience. As the fleet returned to the Sol system, celebrations erupted on Earth and its colonies. But for Elena and her crew, the true victory was not just in defeating the Clorvani. It was in proving that humanity's ingenuity, courage, and unity could stand against any challenge. Humanity had not only survived, it had thrived, carving its place among the stars.